Hi, this is Katie Townsend. I'm excited to share my lesson with you. It's going to cover two-step equations. It's going to be the first lesson in two-step equations. For my students, some of my advanced and accelerated students, they're going to be doing the seventh grade standard of solving two-step equations. So yes, they are sixth graders, but they are doing the seventh grade standard. So they have already done one-step equations, and now they'll be doing two-step, and including how to manipulate, use them in word problems and different things like that in later lessons. For this lesson, we'll be focusing on just solving the two-step equations and using integer operations. For the ISTE standards, that'll be included: empowering learner, digital citizen, constructing, and communicating creatively. So kind of as an overview for solving these equations, the students are going to do a hook, which is going to be a Padlet. They'll take a pre-assessment, and based on that pre-assessment, they'll do a differentiated lesson on Nearpod. Then they will be able to, in groups, pairs, small groups, create a digital lesson using Haiku Deck, ThingLink, iMovie, or another option of their choice. So for the hook, I have created a metaphor or a simile where solving two-step equations is like unwrapping a present. You have to undo it. So taking off the bow, which is the adding and subtracting, and then unwrapping the present, which is undoing the multiplying and dividing. Then the students are going to have the opportunity to create their own. This is going to give me a good base of if they're really understanding the content of undoing, and some good discussion and being able to see each other's ideas through this Padlet, because they'll all be able to post them all at the same time, as well as always look back and see them again later. The students will then take their pre-assessment, which will then determine which group they will be in differentiated for the Nearpod lesson. They're going to be doing the same activity, but at their own pace if they can handle it and if they're ready. So if they scored well on the pre-assessment, they'll do self-paced, which is assigned as live, as homework through the Nearpod, or it can be teacher-led. Sorry, that says let's, should be teacher-led. And the teacher will be able to go through these problems. The students are able to actually draw on their iPad. My school is a one-to-one school, so we do have iPads that the students will be able to use for this lesson. And they'll be able to actually draw their work on here for solving the two-step equations. It's really going to give me a quick identifier of what students I need to touch base with, what students need to keep practicing, and also gives a quick and easy way for me to have correct examples for me to show the students in how to use the two-step equations and solve them and make sure they're solving the work correctly. Then they're going to be getting into groups or pairs and create some sort of digital presentation. I've given them three options of what they want to do, or they can do their choice as long as it's teacher approved. For most groups, I'm going to give them three problems that they need to solve and explain how they solved it and show all their work. And then they're going to have to create three problems on their own. That's going to give that higher level thinking backwards on how to write an equation. Some of my groups, I am going to do a little differentiation and give them the opportunity to create all six of their problems or extra if they have time, just to give some of those extra students who are doing well, who did well in the pre-assessment and did the self-paced lesson, to get that extra challenge. So for ThingLink, I'm going to show you a quick YouTube video of what I was thinking if they
will be able to show their work and then insert the image into ThingLink and then be able to identify it's a two-step equation and then be able to explain all their work. So instead of having this part over here, they'll just be able to put the dots on their problems, even add other questions, other problems, and also include their answer.
So I really liked with ThingLink that it gives them, they're going to do their work, they're going to show their problem, but it gives them that dot to kind of explain it, or even use a screencast and add that in on a YouTube video. Gives them that creativity piece a little bit than just doing the problems. Another option is the students can create an iMovie. They can show their work of them actually doing it. They can insert pictures, talk over them of how they're explaining how to solve it. Either way would be a great option. Another one is Haiku Deck. So mostly for this one, they'd have to take the pictures of their work, insert them in, and then give me some explanation in writing, because you can't talk over in Haiku Deck. But it was just another creative way for them to create it. Also, giving them their own choice. So they have choice within the 3 that I've given, but if they're really like, I really want to do Google Slides, or I really would like to do this, they're totally welcome to do that as long as it's teacher approved. So here's an example of the rubric that I made, kind of the 3 calculation of the given problems, the 3 calculations of their creative problems, as well as the creativity. I want them to enjoy the problem. I want them to enjoy solving these problems and creating a piece to share with others. Troubleshooting. So if Padlet isn't working, I could always use a question in Google Classroom for them to post, as well as them just sharing out and having a conversation if the internet is out. If for some reason Nearpod isn't working, we could always use a worksheet, or the students could use the whiteboards in the classroom for showing their work and talking them through. For the digital presentation, iMovie can always be used without digital until turning it in, as well as ThingLink if they have the app. Haiku Deck is only web-based, so they wouldn't be able to use that one. But they could always take the pictures of the work and then explain it either the next day in Haiku Deck or using it at home, if that's an option. So I really think that there's a lot of options here that do use the digital pieces, as well as if for some reason the internet's out or something's not working, they would be able to do it in a different way. Again, if for some reason their iPads weren't working completely, they could always make a flip book or a diagram paper or just a flip chart of just kind of what their work would be for these problems. By authentic learning, I've got a lot of collaboration happening in their groups, higher order thinking for them creating their own problems. They had to create the metaphor. That takes it to another level and gives them that higher order thinking. There's differentiation within the problems that they are given, within the way that the lesson's presented, as well as the way that their groups are and how they are creating. There's the teacher-led aspect. There's fast feedback through the Nearpod with the formative assessments, as well as using that pre-assessment at the beginning. Differentiation based on their pretest. For enrichment, the students can create their own 3 problems. Also, differentiating within the groups that they choose. At times, I would say the students could pick their own groups, but if some students need some extra support, they might be put in a group with some higher students, or even in a smaller group, and the teacher could really touch base with those students. So just making sure the students are in an appropriate group for them is huge. Some reflections and challenges. Challenges can always be sometimes with Padlet and the iPad, the students tend to all post on the same time, and it can be quite difficult sometimes for all of them to do it at once. So another way around that could be totally using the Google Classroom question, or having them come up with their own at home and posting individually, so it's not all at the same time, and just having the reflection time in class to talk about it. I really liked this lesson. I really liked the differentiation and that students could choose how they created it. And it gave them a little bit of more fun with just the practice. Yes, we need them to practice, but then they're creating a project. They're creating their own problems, and not just doing a worksheet of the same kind of problem over and over. It's getting that higher order thinking skills in. It's getting that differentiated in groups, and the groups that are doing well, giving them those extra problems and having them come up with their own problems, and just taking it to the next level for some of the students. And I hope you enjoyed my lesson, and have a great day. Thanks.